purposes. And rather than going to our people first to guarantee them an opportunity to become entrepreneurs in the production of medical marijuana, we went outside and started bringing in experts and encouraging investors. Normally, charity is said to begin at home. So rather than going to the people who have for years taken the risk, now that there's an opportunity for them to have a formal enterprise, commercial endeavor, rather than facilitate that, we are looking for major investors from abroad. And so ultimately, the small farmer in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be relegated to exactly that, primary production, and not become engaged in going further along the processing line, because we're already looking for larger investors to come and take charge of that. So what is the difference in what we are seeking to do to our marijuana farmers and what we did with our banana farmers relative to yeast, and what we did to our cocoa farmers relative to Amajaru? When will we learn? Is it always that we have to have investors from abroad and leave our people at the primary production phase? When will we learn that we can do better than that for our own people? Why can't we conceptualize that they can go into the further processing processes? But we always believe that the people in our farming community are lesser qualified, and that we must leave them at the primary production level and allow others to benefit more than they in the other stages of the process. Isn't that incredible? Isn't it incredible? And we can say to our marijuana farmers, all the talk you're hearing about medicinal marijuana, etc., etc., you've seen where they are going. You've seen where they are heading. And many of you, with your small plots, will be restricted to those small plots. And you'll find yourselves in a situation where, because it is medicinal marijuana that is being projected and not recreational marijuana, that you will be constrained to sell your products to those who are taking the production process further forward. You will be constrained to go through that channel and that channel only. That is what will happen to you. So that your quality of life is not going to change necessarily because you will remain a small farmer. And then they will boast of what they're doing for the small farmers in the country. But they're not telling you about those who are already preparing and buying up other lands, so that they can have larger plantations and they can meet the quality requirements, the standards, the standards that would be required. So just as they did, remember the banana industry? First they had boxing plants where they had their own quality controls, etc., etc. Then they shift from that until they produce it in the field yourself, etc., etc. Then remember they said they didn't want banana with spots. And then there was a talk at one point that they want a straighter banana. Remember, you know. You are not in control. And after going through that with geese, we come with the same nonsense with cocoa. You have to get seeds from a certain place. You have to get plants from a certain place. And you have to sell to a certain place. What will be the difference with marijuana? So for all the years that we had these people taking risks, for all the years that the Rastas were talking about the medicinal benefits of marijuana, we denied them with legislative action. We persecuted them. And now there's an opportunity because the rest of the world has finally caught up with the fact that the tobacco manufacturers knew all along what you are now saying about medicinal marijuana. But the tobacco dollars and the tobacco lobby was so much stronger that they got the right time after time after time after time to sell you a known carcinogen. Yeah? When they couldn't take it anymore, they put on the box. Yes, the surgeons say smoking is bad for your health. Now they put in smoking kills on the box. But they're still giving you the option, so buy it. Yeah? So we have to understand how politicians operate. Because at the end of the day, they believe that they are smarter than the rest of the electorate. And that the small farmer deserves to remain just there, and just that, a small farmer. That is our reality in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And don't let anybody else fool you. So we are being given this nice idea now that we are so concerned about the quality of our marijuana. We are so concerned about it that we are bringing experts here to test the quality in order to ensure that we can export as much of it as possible by bringing in investors with more money and all the equipment that they need to go into secondary processing. And we, our small farmers, remain the hewers of wood and drawers of water. How is that possible in a small country like ours? Why must we allow politicians to continue to pull wool over people's eyes? And now you're hearing from the church leaders. The church leaders now have a position on medical marijuana. Yeah? They're expressing their concerns about marijuana. And they state, and we quote, "Our primary concern relates to the social impact and the related costs to our national well-being and development. We are mindful of the view that we are not managing alcohol and its impact on our youth. How much more can we manage possible increased access to marijuana?" They're now speaking out on marijuana. But we're yet to see a statement from them on the Yogi Farrell, Camilo Gonzalez issue. Yeah? We would like the churches to speak out on issues more frequently, more regularly, and play a leading role in our society by uplifting morals and chastising wrong, regardless of where it comes from. If you're going to start on this line, continue. Speak on all issues of national importance because you value human dignity in the society. So get in there and have meetings. Have meetings with everybody, including the producers of marijuana. But understand clearly what is happening in our Vincentian society and how the politicians seek to play games with our populace. How the politicians treat their own people. And at the end of the day, it is important for our electorate to understand what the salaries of our politicians, and then compare the salaries they get with the lifestyles they live, the quality of life that they enjoy, and see how they match up. See how they match up. So we're saying to our marijuana farmers that it is important that you get together and ensure that you are among the major beneficiaries of the switch to medicinal marijuana in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Do not allow it to be taken out of your hands as they once did with bananas, as they are doing with cocoa. You must be among the major beneficiaries. And we look with great anxiety at precisely what will emerge with that investment in Mount Winds Petershope. And how many others are purchasing land relatively cheap. We look with anxiety to see what they're using it for. Will there be an influx of investors coming here to invest in medical marijuana? And our primary producers of the product remain exactly that and remain at the bottom of the economic chain in our society. And then, friends, one other issue before we go. We've had an anniversary celebration on the international airport. And one wonders if this is going to be an annual feature going forward. If we are going to see, going forward, a continuing push for anniversary celebrations of an airport. Because one can't quite understand why we would want to be celebrating the first anniversary of an airport. People like to put milestones. But in all of the speeches that were delivered, you recognize that the government doesn't seem to understand that you have an airport and that you must make it work. There's no point 1 year later to be throwing stones at anybody who criticized the airport project. You ought to be talking about what you're going to do moving forward. But you can't get this kind of politicking out of your head. And since the airport was part of your campaign for 2 elections, that became your mantra. You somehow still believe that you can use it as part of your campaign for the next elections. It is there. It is built. But you're still attempting to fool the people in terms of aspects of the airport. So none of the speakers address the issue of accountability, public accountability for the international airport. None of the speakers. Because for them, that is not an issue. Why? Because it is not a statutory corporation. So even though taxpayers foot the bill for so much of the resources that went into making that airport a reality, the taxpayers are not seen as sufficiently important to be provided with some sort of accountability, financial accountability. But none of them were prepared to discuss that because that for them is not an important issue. How we spend the money is not your business. Just be thankful that it built and join us in gloating over the fact that it has been built. That is the level of responsibility that you are getting from the administration. Secondly, you would have hoped that if you're anxious to talk about 1 year later, give us some sort of accountability, some sort of cost-benefit analysis of the operations of the airport. Tell us what were the total expenses for the operations of the airport in its first year, and what was the income, so we can see where we are with the airport. But then again, if you did that, you would have shown such a vast discrepancy that you were perhaps fearful that the electorate may not be happy. But then you could do like you did with elections in 2001, and when after 2001 and you weren't doing so well, he said, like Burns Bonner, says, the people need a honeymoon. You have to give them a honeymoon. So this is the honeymoon period. You could use that as an explanation for the discrepancy. But nobody touched that. The operating cost for the year, nobody touched it. The income from the year, nobody touched it. Instead, you had one speaker after another coming and telling us they didn't want it, rebuild it. They say planes wouldn't come, and they come in. They bring in hundreds of people. But nobody sat down. He says one man talk about Easy Sky or one of them planes coming. They ain't talk about why it stopped. They talk about the problems with that particular airline. No, because you're not supposed to know that airline experienced problems. You're not supposed to know that. They're not telling you the percentage of empty seats. You're not supposed to know that either. You see, truth is something that is difficult to come out of the mouths of the ruling regime. Truth. Honesty. Because of the fear. If you're doing something that involves the use of public funds, please tell us what you're doing. Tell us how well we are doing or how not so well we are doing. We were doing wonderfully well with the Blues Festival, Rhythm and Blues. And then we changed it to Blues and Rhythm. And then it stopped. It stopped. There's no explanation as to why it stopped. The dance couldn't pay for the light. That's why it stopped. When the people came here to do Pirates of the Caribbean, we declared that we had suddenly become a new film destination. But we never explained why they didn't even come back. And how is it that having film sequels in Dominica, tourists to that country are able to visit the sets that were used in Pirates of the Caribbean? And we who had the sets for the original Pirates of the Caribbean don't have any place to carry tourists to show anything left from the Pirates of the Caribbean. How is it? But we were a new film destination. And what other films have we brought to this country since then? You see, truth and honesty, difficult to get from this ruling regime. So, in the construction phase of the airport, certain things were happening that we knew were not true. One ad had fellas talking and saying, well, imagine I don't have to have problems with my luggage again, because we're going straight to St. Vincent. No mention was made of the fact that airlines are now all charging for luggage. And that it depends on which airlines find it appropriate or opportune for them to fly directly from their home base to St. Vincent. So our people in England, High Wycombe and elsewhere, who were fed the story that you'll be coming directly to St. Vincent soon. The years of construction of the airport have gone, and they still can't come to St. Vincent directly. They still have to go through other places. They have no direct flight for them. And the second most popular destination, the most popular destination for Vincentians is in New York. And they thought that they would have been the first to benefit from direct flights to St. Vincent. Not Canada, not those living in Canada. Those who were living in New York thought that they would have been the first beneficiaries of direct flights to St. Vincent and Grenadines. It hasn't happened in the first year. Throughout the construction phase of the Argyle International Airport, we were fed the garbage that, man, we are negotiating with so many airlines. We almost guarantee that these airlines would be coming here. We can't call any names, but we're speaking with a lot of them, and we're very sure that many of them will come as soon as the airport is completed. The airport completed for 1 year. And what we're being told, some of these things, you have to negotiate. They have so many regulations. And you had 8 years or 9 years of constructing an international airport to know all of those things, all the requirements. And you're only now telling us about them. You only now find out of all these regulations. Grenada next door, they built an airport. You didn't know that you could have asked them what were the shenanigans they went through, or St. Lucia, or Barbados. You have to find it out yourself after spending so many years telling the people that you were negotiating with all these airlines. Told you, politicians have a way of taking the electorate for granted. And they believe that they could come to you with any glib, sad story, and you are supposed to believe it. So 1 year on, we are still trying to beat up the opposition and whoever else and anybody else who criticized the airport, because we think that it is viable already when you know for a fact it is not, and that's why you can't bring out the figures in terms of operational costs for the first year, etc., etc. You're not telling the people the challenges that you currently have. All that it requires is openness with the people of St. Vincent and Nevis. But there's a fear that openness might lead to a loss of the next general elections. So you believe that you have to blend in truth, half-truths. And then you accuse others of half-truths, lies, comments, and innuendo. But that has been your own mantra. That has been the mantra from day one. So that in the beginning you were told that you will wage an incessant war on crime and the causes of crime. You have set numerous national records for murders committed in a single year under your watch. We were told that within the first 100 days, we'd have had integrity legislation in place. We have several hundreds of days that have passed, and we still don't even have it on the burner, far less back or front. It's not even on the burner. So, why are we afraid of truth? What are we afraid of when we deal with truth? Politicians don't have to become high-paid liars. You don't need to be lying to the people all the time. You don't need to be dispensing with truth because you deem it appropriate, and it would not sound good if people know that you're not doing as well as you said you were, or that you can't meet your promises. You tell us about the promises you have kept. You don't say anything about the promises that you have not kept. Remember, we were supposed to build an ecotourism hotel across the Dry River. You don't hear any talk about that anymore. No talk about that. And maybe we understood very well the shenanigans that were going to be embroiling the persons involved in the setting up of that Bocamen Bay Resort. That we attended a quote-unquote soft opening. It never had a formal other opening, you know. It was a soft opening. A soft opening. Perhaps we knew something that we didn't want to tell the public. We had a soft opening. So tell the people the truth about the Argyle International Airport. Don't cover it up by attacking 1 year later, still attacking those who were critical of it. You are fearful even now of revealing truth about the operations of the Argyle International Airport because it may make you look bad. Vincentians are happy for the Argyle International Airport. They want to see it work. But they also want to know the truth about how to make it work. They want to be part of that process. Not everybody may like everything you do when you do it. Not everybody may like how you do certain things. But as Vincentians, they have a right to utilize everything that has been produced, because whether they had liked it or didn't like it, their money went into it as taxpayers. You can't deny them that, and you cannot chastise them consistently for that. Today marks 4,078 days since the disappearance of SVG Air J8VAX, piloted by Dominic Gonzalez with one passenger on board, Rashid Ibrahim. But because he was not a manifested passenger, his family had nothing to get. It marks 2,655 days since the disappearance of SVG Air J8SXY, piloted by Suresh Lakram, called out for a mercy mission. he disappeared without a trace. Since his disappearance on the 5th of August 2010, Just Another Look has been asking for the report. We got a Kakameme report on the disappearance of J8VAX. We have no report. We've never seen a report, an investigative report in the disappearance inside the foyers of another aircraft from the same company. Why? Why? And dear friends, as always, we leave you with a reminder of the sad, gruesome death of Patricia Bowman, crushed to death in her car on her way to work by debris from a collapsing wall on the 19th of September 2008. Her husband, like the rest of us, is still waiting for justice. Justice. Enough said. You've been listening to another edition of Nice Radio's Callaloo presentation, Just Another Look. Just Another Look is an innovative, exciting, albeit decidedly provocative, and yes, certainly controversial socio-political analysis of issues of a local, regional, and international nature. Just Another Look is heard only on Nice Radio, first aired on Saturdays at 6 p.m., with repeat broadcasts on Sundays at 9 p.m. You can catch us on the World Wide Web, www.niceradio.info, or you can check out our Just Another Look blog, www.justanotherlook.com. I am, of course, Keith Joseph.